Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam, pangum langayate girim, yat kripatamaham vande, Shri Gurum Deenataranam. So today is the very auspicious day of the appearance of Lord Ramachandra. So Lord Ramachandra appeared in Treta Yuga. Currently, which yuga are we in? We are in Kali Yuga. So before Kali Yuga was Dwapara Yuga, and before that was Treta Yuga, and before that was Satya Yuga. So nowadays there is a trend appearing that Lord Ramachandra appeared some 7,000 years ago. Some people say like that. All these things we should not get misled by. Lord Ramachandra appeared in Treta Yuga several millions of years ago. It's not a few hundred years, not a few thousand years. Several millions of years ago, Lord Ramachandra appeared. And Lord Ramachandra was not some ordinary king. He was the Supreme Personality of Godhead incarnated. Now, the Supreme Lord, why does he incarnate? As Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya dushkritam. Whenever the dushkritis, the asuras, the atheists, become very prominent and they start troubling the devotees of the Lord, then the Lord appears to protect the devotees and to annihilate the miscreants. In Treta Yuga, similarly, the asuras had become very powerful, the atheists had become very powerful, and they had a king. And that king was extremely powerful. His name was Ravana. This Ravana became a scourge even for the Devatas. None of the Devatas could also withstand his power. He became so powerful. Nowadays, atheists are not that powerful. But the atheist Ravana was so powerful that even the Devatas used to tremble in front of him. Being requested by the Devatas to rid the earth of the menace of this atheist Ravana, the Supreme Lord Krishna, he took incarnation. He incarnated as Lord Ramachandra as the son of Dasharatha. King Dasharatha, who appeared in the dynasty of the sun god. In the Raghukula, the Lord appeared as the son of Dasharatha Maharaj. And at a very young age, he went with Vishwamitra Muni and he killed Tataka. He rather liberated Tataka and removed the obstacles for the performance of the yajnas by Vishwamitra Muni. And the Lord carried out the pastime of receiving the knowledge of the usage of various astras from Vishwamitra Muni. This is exactly like when we want to worship the Gangaji or we want to worship Yamunaji. We take a dip in the water of the Ganga and we take a little water from the Ganga and pour it back to the Gangaji. And that's the way of worshipping Ganga. So that does not, so where is the source of the water we are offering to Ganga coming from? It's coming from Ganga only. Similarly, all knowledge is coming from the Supreme Lord. Lord Ramachandra is the repository of all knowledge. But still, to set an example to the world that how one must receive knowledge from a guru, the Lord also received knowledge from Vishwamitra Muni. He accepted Vishwamitra Muni as his guru. And then the Lord married Sita Maya, the daughter of Janaka Maharaj, in a Swayamvara where there was the Haradhanu, the bow which was given to Janaka Maharaj by Lord Shiva himself. And that bow was so heavy, it required 300 people to lift it. And Janak Maharaj had once seen how his daughter Sita Devi, while as a young child, she was sweeping the room where this bow was kept, Haradhanu was kept. And while sweeping the floor, she wanted to sweep under the bow also. No dust should be there. So with her left hand, she very easily lifted the bow and swept under this. bow and kept it back. The bow which 300 people are required to lift. And Janak Maharaj happened to see this, and he said, oh, my small girl with her little left hand, very easily she lifted the bow. Then my son-in-law will be someone who will be able to break this bow. So Janak Maharaj then created a Swayamvara where he said that the prince, whoever would be able to string this bow, will win the hand of Sita Maya. And that's how the Swayamvara was performed. Even Ravana also came to that Swayamvara, but he could not even lift the bow. But Lord Ramachandra very easily lifted the bow, stringed it, and while stringing it, the bow broke into two pieces. And thus, Lord Ramachandra won the hand of Sita Devi, who is actually his eternal consort. And then Lord Ramachandra married Sita Devi. Then he took her on the way to Ayodhya. Parashurama came and challenged Ramachandra. And Lord Ramachandra defeated Parashurama also and took Sita Devi home to Ayodhya. And then the Lord Ramachandra was an incarnation of the Vasudeva, who is part of the Chaturvyuha. Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, Aniruddha are the four Chaturvyuha expansions of Narayana. And Lord Ramachandra was the incarnation of Vasudeva. Sankarshana incarnated as Lakshmana, and Aniruddha and Pradyumna, they incarnated as Bharata and Shatrughna. So all these four brothers, they were in Ayodhya, and it was decided to coronate Ramachandra as the king. But as we all know, Kaikeyi, one of the stepmothers of Lord Ramachandra, she did some scheming by which Lord Ramachandra had to go to the forest in exile upon the order of his father. So Dasharatha Maharaj, when he ordered Lord Ramachandra to go to the forest, again Lord Ramachandra did an exemplary thing. He did not complain to his father, my father, what are you saying? Under the sway of your wife, my stepmother, you are asking me to step down. Tomorrow is the coronation. All invitations have been sent. The sages have been called for. All the preparations are ready. Last minute you are telling me to quit. How is it possible? Just like we are seeing in Pakistan, how in the midnight the Prime Minister is being ousted. Like that, one coup is being done. How can I allow all these things to happen? So Ramachandra could have objected, but not a word of objection came from Lord Ramachandra. The moment he heard that his father told him that you have to go to the forest in exile, immediately he gave up all his royal robes, all his ornaments, everything he gave up, wore tree bark and set out to the forest. And this is an exemplary lesson by Lord Ramachandra, how as an ideal son should always, without any complaints, follow the instructions of his father. And Sita Devi, following giving and being the ideal of the exemplary wife, she could also have said that I am the daughter of a king. I have always lived in palaces. Now your father has told you to go to the forest, so you go to the forest. I will remain in the palace. Sita Devi could have said, but no. Sita Devi said, you are my husband, wherever you go, I will also go. And she also gave up all her royal robes, and she also set out on foot with Lord Ramachandra to the forest. This was the ideal example set forth by Sita Devi, how a chaste lady should be. And then when Bharat, when he was not in station when all these things happened, when he and Shatrughna returned, they had gone to their grandfather's place. And when they returned and they heard that this is what has happened, and Kaikeyi very happily came to Bharat and told him, my dear son, I made all the arrangements for you. You can become the king now. Ramachandra will not be in your way. Your elder brother will not be in your way. What was the reaction of Bharat? Bharat became very happy that, oh, I got the kingdom. Otherwise, whole life I would have had to be under my elder brother. Did he think like that? No. On the other hand, he rejected his mother. He said, you are no more my mother. I will accept only Ramachandra as the emperor. I will myself never sit on the throne. And he immediately went behind Lord Ramachandra, caught up with him and told him, that my mother did something, forget it. Please come back. You come back and rule the kingdom. Forget about the promise given by father. All that is not necessary to follow. You please come back and rule. But Lord Ramachandra refused. In the meantime, what happened? Dasharatha Maharaj, out of separation for his son, he could not maintain himself and he died out of the pangs of separation from his son, Lord Ramachandra. And Bharat, when he came back, he told Lord Ramachandra that father has also passed away. Now what is the point in keeping the promise of the father? Come back. But Ramachandra did not agree. He said, no, I given my word to my father. My father's word of honor has to be kept. I will complete the exile. Without that, I will not come back. Till then, you rule the kingdom. Bharat said, I will never rule the kingdom. He said, please give me your slippers. They will rule in your absence and I will represent you. And so like this, until Lord Ramachandra came back, Bharat did not go back to Ayodhya. He stayed in Nandigram, which is about 12 kilometers on the outskirts of Ayodhya. And he installed a throne there, kept Lord Ramachandra's sandals there, and he himself ruled as a representative of Lord Ramachandra till he returned. And not only that, for the 12 years that Lord Ramachandra was in the forest, Bharat also gave up all sorts of royal luxury. It's not that in Nandigram, he set up a palace for himself, had all servants and nice bedding and all that. No. Bharat himself started wearing tree bark. He started lying on the bare floor, and every day he would cook some barley in cow urine and you eat that. He gave up all royal food until Lord Ramachandra came back. This is the ideal example of a brother, how a younger brother respects his elder brother. Then Lord Ramachandra went to the forest, and there what happened? Ravana came, and how did Ravana come? First Shurpanaka came, the younger sister of Ravana, and she became bewildered. She developed lusty desires towards Ramachandra. And Lord Ramachandra disfigured her and sent back, because Lord Ramachandra was an Ekapatni Vrata. He had taken the vow to have only one wife. Although Kshatriyas were allowed to have multiple wives. Even Lord Ramachandra's father himself had 3 wives. But Ramachandra said, no, I have taken a Vrata, I have taken a vow that I will marry only once. And so Shurpanaka, being disfigured by Ramachandra, went to Ravana and instigated him, saying that Sita Devi, she described Sita Devi's beauty. Such an exquisite beauty she is. What is she doing? Being the wife of a mortal human being, Ramachandra. You should go and take her. And she instigated Ravana's lust. Ravana was a womanizer. He was a totally lusty fellow. All atheists are like that. None of the atheists are controlled in their senses. They are all very lusty. They like to womanize. They like to have a free society, permissive society where men and women can mix freely. This is characteristic of atheists. Ravana was also like that. So Ravana, what he did, he knew that Ramachandra was quite powerful. So he did not want to confront him. So what did he do? He went in disguise and had his uncle Maricha take the form of a golden ear, and he lured Ramachandra away from the ashrama. And when Lord Ramachandra and Lakshmana both were absent, Ravana kidnapped Sita Devi. This is again a miraculous thing, because Sita Devi is the eternal consort of Lord Ramachandra. So how is it possible for anybody to take away Sita Maya without the consent of Lord Ramachandra? The Kurma Purana states that before Ravana came, Sita Devi prayed to Agni, and Agni Deva came and took away the original Sita Devi and replaced her with a Maya Sita Devi. So actually Ravana carried away Maya Sita Devi. He did not carry away the original Sita Devi. And while he was carrying her away, Jatayu came and attacked, trying to stop him from taking away Sita Devi. But then Jatayu was no match for Ravana. And Ravana cut off his wings and Jatayu fell down on the earth. And Lord Rama and Lakshmana, while searching for Sita Devi, came across Jatayu. And Jatayu indicated which way Ravana had taken Sita Devi. And then Jatayu left his body. And the Lord, he so is so loving towards his devotees that Ramachandra took the position of the son of Jatayu and he did all the Antyakriya, the last rites for Jatayu. And like this, Ramachandra went forward, and then he came across a demon called Kabandha. He killed him also. And then he made friends with Sugriva by killing Vali. And then with that Vanara army, with the help of Angada and Hanuman and Sugriva and all the other Jambavan and all the other Vanaras, the Lord managed to discover where Ravana has taken Sita Devi. And then Lord Ramachandra with the Vanara Sainya came to the ocean at Dhanushkoti. And there what happened? He fasted for 3 days, waiting for the ocean to give way. But the ocean did not respond. At that time, Lord Ramachandra got very angry and his eyes became red hot like copper. And he looked at the ocean in anger. And just by his glance, the whole water of the ocean started boiling. And all the aquatics like the whales and sharks and all other fishes within the ocean, they all got agitated. They thought Pralaya has started, we are all going to die. And then Sagara himself came forward before Lord Ramachandra and bowed down before him. And he begged forgiveness, saying that Mandadiyaha, I am a dull-headed fellow. I did not recognize that you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he propitiated, he appeased Lord Ramachandra. And then Lord Ramachandra said, I have to go to Lanka to recover Sita Devi. And then the ocean personified Sagara, he replied that oh my Lord, I want your glories to be spread all over the world. I want all the world to glorify you. So instead of my giving way to you, please build a bridge across my ocean and cross over to Lanka. And the Lord said, okay, no problem. And he built a bridge. What kind of bridge? A bridge of floating stones on water. Such a feat which nobody can accomplish. Actually, this is a very wonderful feat of Lord Ramachandra in our eyes. For Ramachandra, it is nothing. Why? Because big planets like the sun and the earth are floating in the sky. All of them have been made to float in the sky by the Supreme Lord Krishna. For him to float some stones on the water, what's the big deal? It's nothing. But for us, it is a very wonderful thing. It is a magical thing. It is a miraculous thing. And like this, because the Lord actually wanted to satisfy Sagara's desire that Lord Ramachandra be glorified. And Lord Ramachandra also wanted that these Vanaras, they are my devotees, I should give them an opportunity to serve me. So to give them an opportunity for service, the Lord said, okay, let the stones float on the water. Because the monkeys are not engineers. They cannot build modern bridges. They can only pick up stones and throw them. So he said, let the stones float on the water. And like this, he accepted the service of the Vanaras. And then Lord Ramachandra crossed over, came to Lanka, and he declared war on Ravana. And Ravana came out with his 4 Akshaunis of armies, fully equipped with all modern weapons at that point of time. Lances, spears, clubs, bludgeons, arrows, bows, all kinds of modern weapons were there with his army. And there were big commanders in the army of Ravana. On the side of Lord Ramachandra, what was there? Only monkeys. And only Lakshmana and Lord Rama actually had bows and arrows in their hand. And when the war started, Indra sent his chariot for Lord Ramachandra because Lord Ramachandra did not have anything to fight with. So Indra sent his chariot, and his charioteer Matali came and assisted Lord Ramachandra in their fight. And only Vibhishana, the younger brother of Ravana, defected to Ramachandra's side because Vibhishana was a great devotee. And then the big fight ensued, and within no time the entire army of Ravana was destroyed, and even practically the whole of Lanka was also destroyed, and Lord Ramachandra very easily he killed Ravana. And on the side of Lord Ramachandra, what happened? Not even one monkey died. So this is because of the divine power. There are 2 kinds of power. One is Daiva and one is Purushakara. Purushakara means what power we possess on our own strength. That is what Ravana possessed. Whereas on the side of Lord Ramachandra, it was Divya Shakti. Daivi Shakti. It was divine power. And therefore, that spiritual power, in front of the spiritual power, material power can never match that spiritual power. And that's how Ravana's army got completely demolished, and Lord Ramachandra conquered Lanka, and he recovered Sita Maya, and then installed Vibhishana on the throne. And then Lord Ramachandra knew that this Sita is the Maya Sita. Now the original Sita has to come back. So when the Lord executes his pastimes, he achieves many things. So what Lord Ramachandra did was, he also thought at the same time, Sita Devi's fame as a chaste woman should be retained within the world. Nobody should point a finger at her in the future. And so therefore, he thought of the Agni Pariksha, into which the Maya Sita entered. And when the Maya Sita entered, Agni Deva took her away and brought the original Sita Devi and handed over to Lord Ramachandra. And then Lord Ramachandra, along with all the Vanaras, he got onto the Pushpaka Vimana, and then he came back to Ayodhya, where Bharata received him. And then Lord Ramachandra was coronated as the king, and Lord Ramachandra ruled over the kingdom for many thousands of years. And during the time of ruling of Lord Ramachandra, there was no excessive heat or cold. Nobody would even die untimely. Nowadays, nobody has no guarantee when somebody will die. Somebody may get a heart attack 20 years old and die. Somebody may get some cancer at 25 years old and die. Some child who is 10-year-old, he may become a victim in an accident and he may die. There is no guarantee in this world today. But during Ramachandra's time, nobody would die untimely. Meaning, until and unless one has become old and his children have all grown up and all his material affairs are well taken care of, the person will not die. Forget about dying untimely. If somebody did not want to die, he would not die. That was the kind of piety in Lord Ramachandra's ruling. So, there are many, many lessons we can learn from the life of Lord Ramachandra. Lord Ramachandra lived the life of an ideal king, an ideal husband, and Sita Devi, ideal wife. Bharata, Lakshmana, Shatrughna, they were all ideal brothers. So like this, we can learn many, many things. Normally, people, when they talk of Ramayana, they think that the most important thing we have to learn from Ramayana is Ramarajya. But actually, none of these things are the real lesson to be learned from the Ramayana. Actually, people miss out the core, the essence of the Ramayana. What is the essence of the Ramayana? The real essence of the Ramayana, because people could not understand from the life of Lord Ramachandra what is the real lesson he wants to teach. Therefore, Lord Krishna himself has to personally come and teach in the Bhagavad Gita what is the real lesson that we have to learn from the Ramayana. And what is that? In the 18th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, in the 66th verse, Krishna says, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam raja. Give up everything else and become surrendered exclusively to Krishna. And this actually Lord Ramachandra taught in his life. You look at Lakshmana, he gave up his kingdom, his palace, his wife for the sake of Lord Ramachandra. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam raja. He took shelter only of Lord Ramachandra. Look at Sita Devi. She did not let Ramachandra go alone. She said, Lord Ramachandra, you are my only refuge. Even when Ravana took her away, she did not give up that conviction. Only Lord Ramachandra is my refuge. She did not give it up. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam raja. She was surrendered only to Lord Ramachandra. Look at Bharata. He was surrendered only to Lord Ramachandra. He did not accept the kingdom given to him by his mother. He rejected his mother. He said, forget you are not my mother. Nobody can reject their mother like that. Bharata gave up his mother. Why? For Ramachandra. And look at Dasharatha Maharaj. He gave up his own life for Ramachandra, not being able to tolerate the separation from Ramachandra. So, out of all this, and look at all the monkeys, they did not follow any principle of dharma. Hanuman did not follow any principle of dharma. He was just a simple Vanara, but he is glorified because his only refuge, his only surrender was Ramachandra. So out of all these things, what is it that we have to learn? Look at Vibhishana. He gave up his brother. according to Dharma, he should not have he was a deserter. He gave up his brother and came away. He should not have done that, but he did that. Why? For Ramachandra. So, what is the lesson that we have to learn from the Ramayana? Sarva dharman parityajya. Forget everything else. We have to renounce everything else. Mam ekam sharanam braja. We have to surrender only to Lord Ramachandra, Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna and Lord Ramachandra should be our soul, life and soul. Nothing else takes precedence. Nothing else is more important than surrendering and following the instructions and pleasing Lord Krishna, Lord Ramachandra. This is the real lesson we have to learn from Ramayana. And so therefore, today being Sri Ramanavami, the most auspicious day of the appearance of Lord Ramachandra, we should all dedicate ourselves solely to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna and Lord Rama by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Solely, exclusively, we have to surrender to Krishna and to Ramachandra, not to anybody else. Not to anybody else, not to any other devata, not to any other sense gratification, not to any other material power, not to any other allurement in this material world. Only the pleasure of Krishna and Rama should be the goal of our life. This is the lesson. This is the primary and the most confidential lesson that we have to learn from the Ramayana. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai. Shri Shri Krishna Balaram ki jai. Sri Rama Navami ki jai. Sri Ramachandra Bhagavan ki jai. Sita Rama Lakshman Hanuman ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari.